Donald Trump will take office in less than 30 days. He has promised to make America great again. He has promised to make this country have the greatest economy in history. But can he make good on that promise? Or, as many economists believe, is there a storm brewing right over the horizon? A storm that will bring with it chaos, destruction, and an economic collapse. I'm David Tomsik. Merry Christmas to you. Now, would it surprise you if I told you right now that wages in America are higher than they've been in decades, and that employment is near an all-time high? You might say you don't believe it. Well, many of you might not, depending on who you voted for. Now, this is true. This should tell you not to believe everything you hear, especially in a presidential election. Most of the stuff Donald Trump said about the economy was inaccurate. He was correct that prices are higher. They were higher under his first administration. But the reality is that this is just a snapshot in time. Things change every day. We can't just believe that the world's going to end tomorrow, because it may not, and you still have to live in that world. So what do we look at to predict what's happening in the future? Well, the world is changing dramatically. And I have 4 things I want to tell you or go over with you that lead me to believe that there is an economic showdown coming, an economic collapse. My mother once told me this: David, bankruptcy comes slowly, then all at once. Now, you've heard variations of this, but the point here is that we're never going to know what will trigger an economic collapse. We only know those things that are involved in making it possible. And I'm going to go over that right now. Number 1, I'm going to give you 4. First of all, the United States is no longer the world's sole superpower. Now, many people who believe in American exceptionalism refuse to understand or believe this. They believe that America is destined to always be on top, to always be the leader of the world somehow. But that's not true. We used to be the sole superpower, and after 1992, we were. But other powers have risen since then. And of course, we know who those powers are: China, now Russia, India. And these 3 countries belong to a bigger group known as the BRICS. Now, the BRICS has been around a long time. The initial BRIC members were Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Others have joined, and you can see on the screen who those were, or who those are. Now, this particular economic union, that's what it is a direct challenge to the United States dollar, to United States hegemony. Now, you've heard me say hegemony probably many times on many videos, those who have watched me. Hegemony in our case is America's dominance over the rest of the world, and we did. America was able to get whatever they wanted, whether it was through war, threats of war, military actions, overthrows, or using the dollar as a weapon. We've done all the above. But with the rise of the BRICS nations, that will all change. Now, it was said this about the BRICS and their new system they're putting in place. The BRICS system will greatly reduce the reliance on Western financial institutions and establish a more decentralized and solid global financial architecture. Now, they're going to use a thing called BRICS Pay. Now, BRICS Pay is what they'll use to transact between each other. Right now, they need to use the SWIFT system. And guess who controls the SWIFT system? Well, the United States does. Now, of course, these systems help countries pay bills between each other through trade, whether it's dollars, gold, silver, or Bitcoin. Now, this new system that the BRICS have put together will challenge that. What did Donald Trump do? He was upset about this because, remember, to make America great again means you have to make everybody else subservient to you. And that's his plan from the start. He's already threatened tariffs on every country in the world, and he's threatened tariffs on the BRICS nations. The reason is because the BRICS nations are going to turn away from using the dollar, and he's threatened them with sanctions if they did. Well, the reality is they already are. They already do trade in other denominations and other currencies. It just isn't 100% yet, but it will. And this terrifies him. This terrifies the United States because our power, whether geopolitical, military, or economic, is based on the U.S. dollar. It is the gold standard for the world and for our ability to control the world. But I digress. Okay, secondly, my second reason I believe that there's an economic storm brewing over the horizon is that even though wages are high and we're near full employment, There are a lot of jobs still left out there, a lot of them. Most of them fast food, retail, maybe some generic jobs in factories, truck driver jobs and such. But at some point, employers are going to need to replace people who they don't have. They're going to need a way to make people come to work. Now, they've increased wages, and that's why our wages are higher. They've had bidding wars for employees, Wendy's and McDonald's and Panera, because there's only so many people available to work those jobs. Now, when we talk about Donald Trump's plan to make America great again and to bring manufacturing back here, one of the biggest problems is going to be we don't have the population to do that. I know you probably look at me and say that's not true. Well, he wants to get rid of 12 million plus immigrants who take a lot of jobs, who work in our farms and many of these factories and many of the jobs that our kids haven't worked at or won't work at. So what happens when you can't fill a position? You find a way to make do. Well, that's probably going to be a problem for companies moving forward. One of the biggest factors in this is that America no longer has enough babies being born to replace those that no longer are in the workplace. We've lost that. In fact, since 1957, we've been below the 2.1 babies per woman birth weight we need for replenishment of our population. So we're at about 1.6. This is catching up to us now. So when you hear guys complain, and I say guys because people have complained to me that they go into McDonald's or at Panera, where I was this morning hanging out with my brother and the guys, and there isn't enough people to wait on them, and they have to sit there and wait for somebody to take their order. And they blame teenagers that they don't want to work, that they're in their parents' basement. Well, the truth is that we keep developing, we keep building more and more businesses, more and more McDonald's, more and more Wendy's, more and more Five Guys. And all these new restaurants that we keep building, even though we don't need them, need employees. And you only have so many teenagers, so many people coming back from college to fill them. In fact, some of these people are working 2 and 3 jobs. So without being able to keep up with that birth rate, we're never going to be able to fill jobs, let alone expensive high-end factory jobs. But I digress. So we're in a pickle there, I guess you could say. We really can't build high-end factories that need people when we don't have people. So what will they do? Well, it goes to my next one. So what's the answer here? Well, this is my next and my third problem you're going to see in this developing storm. You might ask, well, since we're going to deport so many people and we don't have enough kids in our population to fill these jobs, what do? Well, it's simple. You go to artificial intelligence and robotics. Now, that's already here, and most companies already understand this, and many companies have already implemented artificial intelligence or robotics into their system, into their business. This will only grow in proportion. Amazon, for instance, are dealing with people who want to go to a union, which I agree with. I agree they should be protected by a union. But let's be honest. What will Amazon do to replace them? They will continue to increase the number of robots they use to handle packages, to pick orders. They will eventually have the ability to airdrop with drones. And I believe the only thing holding drone delivery up is FAA regulations. And I'm sure that will eventually go through. As technology improves and gets the ability to take more and more jobs, it will. What happens to those people, though, that are working that have been eliminated even though they had a job? Well, they no longer have a job. You then have another issue. Do you pay them to stay home? What do you do with them? Again, an economic nightmare. We understand that by eliminating 12 million immigrants from this country, GDP could jump as much as 3%. That's a big deal. Part of that economic storm, it's brewing. It's there. It hasn't formed completely yet, but it's right over the horizon. Let's go to my fourth and final ingredient in that storm. Okay, since the financial crisis in 2008, the American economy has not really been the economy it was 30 years ago. Our economy in 2008 died. I've said this in many of my videos. When I say died, I'm using it in a real form, real sense, dead on a table, no heartbeat. And what I've made a point to say is that that body was dragged over to the Eccles building, the Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C., and they pumped it with money. They pumped it with debt. They reanimated Uncle Sam. Now, Uncle Sam is today, even since 2008 till now, still a zombie. The economy has been kept alive by debt. Now, those of you following along with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the sword and the Department of Government Waste fiasco we've gotten into here, keep in mind that we still need a government. We still need people to work in our government. We still need all those agencies they want to cut. We still need debt. Because without debt, without the government printing money, without people going out, and this is you and me, and spending money on our credit cards, without corporations taking loans out, the country collapses because there's no alternative to it. Those of you that believe in a balanced budget, you're on some kind of drug. It's never going to happen. It can't happen. Since 1913, since the Federal Reserve took over and monetized our debt, bought our own bonds, since we've had to print so much money to stay in so many countries and pay so many bills, that once you start weaning off of it, you'll go into a rejection. The economy will shudder. The economy will collapse. It's not that I believe that it's the best way to do things. It's the only way to do things today. Debt keeps Uncle Sam alive. One way or the other, the only way to get rid of debt is for a total economic collapse of epic proportions. And if that happens, we never recover. And the U.S. dollar, which was once the world's reserve currency, will be in a fight for its life. So America will be in the midst of a total economic meltdown. That's all the time I have. Thank you for joining me. Merry Christmas to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. I will be on the air throughout the holiday season. Keep an eye out for the Tomsic Analysis. In the meantime, God bless you, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tomsic Analysis. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for watching the Tomsic Analysis. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video, and keep an eye out for our next video.